Portugal Dot, the man. Congratulations, guys.
Thank
Artists of the Year and Album of the Year being inducted into the Oregon Music Hall of Fame. It's been quite the year for you. I would just think that this is maybe a little bit of icing on the cake. How are you feeling about it?
I mean, this is amazing. This is our home. This is where we live, and so it just really, it's really nice, especially at the end of we've been touring for about a year and a half, and it's all slowing down. We're coming home to write new music.
You were on the road all last summer.
Yeah, totally.
Last year.
Yeah, we've been out forever, and so coming home to this is just it's a really warm homecoming.
Well, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Deserved on the new album Woodstock. It's really something else. There's such a story to it. John will get to that here in just a little bit. 2018, what a breakout year for Portugal the Man. Winning Best Pop Duo Group Performance at the Grammy Awards. How did that feel? I mean, wow, the Grammys?
It was, yeah, that was pretty insane. We were up against some really big names. Right? That was
Imagine Dragons, yeah.
Imagine Dragons.
Was it Imagine Dragons? I don't even think they were in there.
I think they were.
Well,
They were.
anyway,
Yeah.
I thought it was,
who cares?
whatever.
You were the
Who
ones
cares?
that went. You
Doesn't
were the
matter
ones
now.
who. And this is for your single "Feel It Still," and you got the Alt Rock Song of the Year at the iHeartRadio Music Awards, ASCAP Vanguard Award for Pop Music Awards in April. Secret Sauce. What was going on this past? It's been 3 years since you've had an album out, and you basically threw out all the songs that you had for A Reason Will Come To here in just a little bit. But what do you think was going on these last couple of years that you came up with Woodstock, and all these awards, not to mention the OMHOF induction?
What do you think?
I'll let Zach take it.
Man,
Anybody?
I don't know. I mean, I think, I don't know. With those kind of things, you can't really plan them. You can't prepare for them, and you can't do that. We knew we had a really good song. We felt really confident, really good about it, and then it just took off. And after that, it became, just a life of its own.
I almost had to remind myself, wait, John, you're from Wasilla.
Yeah.
But what about you guys?
Same.
You're all from Wasilla?
No, he's from here.
Okay, all right, okay. You don't get the Sarah Palin thing. Okay, but I mean, I almost had to remind myself that you've been around here. Yes, we consider you ours.
We've been here a long, long time.
Yeah, definitely. But you had such global thrust out there that it's just amazing.
It was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, I ended up in Moscow, and taxi cab drivers are listening to the song and singing along with it.
What a
It's just-
dream come
yeah,
true that
it's-
you're in Moscow and you're hearing your music play.
Yeah,
It's pretty fun.
I
I
mean,
can't nod with this thing on. It's very,
it looks good.
thanks. Thank you. That's what
so
matters
let's
now.
talk about the album, Woodstock. There's a great backstory of how it came, the concepts that live in the grooves. John, you realized in the tradition of bands from that era, from Woodstock, and how did you talk about how you found your father's, he went to Woodstock,
Yeah.
to the
yeah.
festival, and you found you found some little memento.
Yeah, we didn't even really find it. I mean, it was just kind of a weird situation.
Yeah.
Zach was there for it.
Yeah.
But pretty much I grew up on my dad's record collection, and he had moved up to Alaska right after Woodstock. So 1970, he moved to Alaska and pretty much only listened to his record collection up until high school. So it's just everything I was raised on. And I'd hear the stories about everybody forming the conga lines naked and meeting Jesus down by the river and all the weird stories about Woodstock. But it kind of came around with Zach and I hanging with my dad back home.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
kind of was giving you the what for and saying, when's that album going to be done, for heaven's sake? Because it'd been
Totally.
3 years since you guys, you had songs. You had songs.
We had a lot of
lot,
songs.
we had-
Yeah, and you're
so
probably
many
ready
songs.
for yet another album right after this, I would imagine.
Yeah, I
The
think
songs just
we're
keep
good.
on coming. But I like this idea that you began considering the concept of Woodstock and everything that we're going through in the world right now on any given hour, minute, day. It's this album comes at the right time, and the way that you decided to do it, you chuck all the songs you had and you started kind of, living in the ethos of not necessarily protest music, But awareness, I would call it awareness music. If there's maybe you have a better description.
No, I mean, I think
that was pretty
on
good,
point.
actually, yeah. It was great.
Yeah, it was more just seeing everything that was happening in the world. And I mean, the way I feel about music is you can't go by the old world, like, let's put together a record and we'll release it in 6 months and put it out in the world. I think everything moves so quick with social media that it wouldn't make sense for us to release an album of songs that we wrote 3 years ago.
They don't speak to the now.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that's something really great about like SoundCloud rappers now, and the way SoundCloud works is it's just kids in their bedroom like putting together music and releasing it the next morning. You know, releasing it at 4 a.m. when they're just completely out of it and tired. I think that's the way music should be made, and I think just hanging out with my dad and getting the whole like, don't you just go into a studio with your instruments and record music and put
Sure,
it out?
Dad.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
It's not what it is anymore, but
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's what it should be.
Yeah. Well, this you said that these two ideas converging, the band, the needing to speak out about the world crumbling around you, and making you just have to basically reinvent Portugal the Man for this new album, this Woodstock. You have really become activists, is how I would define you now. I wouldn't have necessarily thought that about you. I don't even know if you think that about you. But you're offering to perform, say, the March for Our Lives event. You as artists have taken this opportunity to stand up in these cray times, and it shows up in your album. And I want to talk about the video, Feel It Still, because there's some really interesting stuff going on with that video. In celebration of 420, you teamed up with Wyden and Kennedy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
So that's just a very Portland thing. Like,
That's
all
a
of
Portland
our
thing. The
friends-
Oregon cannabis grower Hi-Fi Farms released Feel It Still, which is a custom packaged pre-rolled blend.
Yeah.
And those who know, there are some who know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is that still available?
I don't think so. I think it was
That was just
pretty
for- that
limited.
was
Yeah, I
just
think it was just for the
420.
release.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
We'll
Still
do-
fun to
we'll do
know.
some more stuff.
Yeah, okay. The next, maybe for another single.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
and as far as the activist side of the band, I think it's visibility. I mean, it's kind of crazy that that song did as well as it did with the video like that. I mean, Wyden and Kennedy putting together like a protester's toolkit
Yeah.
and an activist
Explain that. It's an interactive. There's an interactive companion to it. It's an interactive toolkit for protesting social injustice. Then you're asked to find these designs within the video to help the resistance, #the resistance movement, and direct dial to the White House. All these different things that you guys came up with together with Wyden and Kennedy. That sounds so exciting.
It was really fun. It was interactive. I think it was a smart, fun way to get people involved, because that's kind of, a lot of times people want to get involved but don't know where to go, and so we just kind of, we think that stuff's important, kind of putting out information, and these are just some things that we support, that we talk about, that are relevant to us.
Yeah,
and
the
our
donation
world.
sites for Planned Parenthood,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
ACLU,
exactly.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so if you watch the video on feelitstill.com, there's there's a bunch of Easter eggs in there.
And those are
Yeah.
the things that crack open with information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. But that's good to have that out there, especially from a band like you. You can speak to your generation, maybe who people are going, what do I do? How can I help? Where's
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of amazing with, I mean, again, that song doing so well.
Mhm.
As a fan of pop, like, the thing that I love about pop music and, like, Motown and the Beatles are, like, these things that, regardless of your political view or, like, where you sit on religion, like, there are very few things that we can all agree on, and pop music falls in there. And to have something like that happen with that song and that video, just the idea that people that might not think about those things can find it is just really exciting.
Yeah, and I know that Wyden and Kennedy work with a lot of different people with musicians to make some fascinating things artistically, image-wise, and with things like this. This is something else. Very, very lucky to have such a great team on board for Woodstock.
Yeah, that's Portland.
So, what next? I mean, you've been on the road for like seems like the last 2 years.
We have.
I mean, the album came out last year, didn't it? I mean, like
Yeah.
at the end.
In the middle.
In the middle.
June, yeah.
Yeah.
In June of
but
2017.
17,
Yeah.
And here you are you touring, still going to be on the road
We've
to
only got
support?
a couple more shows this year. We're heading up to Alaska to do some shows, and
Uh-huh.
then coming back down here and just writing more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But will it be another 3 years?
No, no.
Because you came out with stuff fairly regularly, it seemed.
Yeah, again, it was just, for us, we ended up in a spot where we were working with Mike D and Danger Mouse, and pretty much everything we were doing, like, you can't buy producers like that. We were in a situation that you can't pay for, and it costs a lot of money to be in that situation. I think we just needed to take a step back. I mean, everything was just rolling so quickly. I mean, we were out at Shangri-La. We were recording at Rick Rubin's studio with a Beastie Boy. I mean, you can't... I feel like you need to be hungry to create.
You're talking Rick Rubin. I
yeah,
mean...
I don't know who he is, but Mike is pretty cool.
I mean, that's pretty amazing, dropping names like that just seems so, but that's big.
We didn't hang out with him.
Yeah.
Just,
We're just at his spot.
we just had his place.
Well, even that,
Yeah.
the vibe must have been good. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
it was
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, it was too good. Like, it was
Too
just
comfortable.
It was too chill. Like, everything about it was coming really easy, and we just needed to take a step back.
Yeah, yeah. So, plans and desires ahead? I mean, we don't know where we're going with the times that we're living in right now. I depend on people like you to kind of help chill the moments, But
Well, we got
Thank you.
Kanye West, too. He'll handle it.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, mental health did have to have a light shown on it.
Yeah.
And apparently that's what
a
happened.
pretty big light.
Sure, yeah.
A very, very big light. Well, I expect to be inspired by your music for many more albums to come.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll get some stuff out.
Yeah,
As soon as we can.
congratulations and for the inspiration and the activism and all that stuff, you guys. Portland needs you.
Yeah, we'll
Portugal.
rep.
We need Portland.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.